Meghan Markle, the gift that just keeps on giving. So can we believe her? Can you trust her? If she truly is authentic as she wants you to believe, which she tries to portray her authentic self, her vulnerable self. But is it all smoke and mirrors? So welcome back to the Believing Bruce channel. Welcome one and all. If you're a subscriber, thanks for coming back. And if you're new to this channel, then become a subscriber. If you're interested in body language, self-development or anything to do with the head and heart, take 2 seconds to show some love and subscribe below. Also, please give the video a thumbs up if you think I've added value to help with the algorithm. And please leave your comments below. It's educational for me as well to find out what you think about my opinions and also just to give your perspective on what we're talking about. So Meghan was interviewed. Alright, and she's give out a video, and this has come under some scrutiny. I've had a load of messages. Believing Bruce, can you take a look at this? And again, with the royal family, that's something that I cover. So let's dive in. Now, I've already covered Meghan in a previous video, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to jump straight into this and to start giving you some indicators of why all may not seem, or at least she's trying to portray a certain image that might not be matching up with what she's giving off from her body language. And what we see here is the first indication of a lack of congruence, of a lack of, there's just something that she's trying to portray, which I'll explain in a second. This confidence, this authenticity, this vulnerability, like, hey, this is me, let's just have the chat. But where we see the first indication of Meghan's, let's call it her alter ego, or let's just call it her ego, let's name the elephant in the room, is when the person who's given her the interview says that you are not the only powerful woman involved in this equation. And she's trying to be respectful to say, look, you're not by yourself here, there's other people. There's other people who are trying to express what you're expressing. But Meghan doesn't receive it like that. Oh, no, she doesn't. She receives it as a threat. Because up until this point, the interviewer has been, and she still is very credible. She's still very empathic. She's still heaping praise on Meghan. But Meghan doesn't hear that when she says, you're not the only powerful woman in this equation. There is 3 things that Meghan does that let you know that her ego is raging inside. The first one is that she'll brush her hair. What is this called? Reframing. Up until this point here, remember the emotional baseline. What do they do normally? Anything above or below, we're going to have a look. You'll see here, she reframes herself. She wants to be seen as the powerful woman. When she says you're not the only one, and again, remember, she's been positive about it. Meghan doesn't receive it like that. Her ego, her Hulk, that I call it, springs into life. And then again, what we've got to back what I'm saying up is the eye blocks. Look how many eye blocks at this particular point Meghan gives off. She doesn't want to see that. She wants to be the person in the room. And then the absolute killer, the one, the KPI that nobody, this just locks it all in, is watch her throat. Watch the globus sensation go on there. Remember Prince Andrew when he tried to say the word legal? That tightening of the throat. Now this is an animalistic reaction. It's where the amygdala kicks in, it's the adrenal glands, and it's, yeah, that's where you get the globus sensation. So if you put the reframing with the hair, with the eye blocks, with the globus sensation, she does not, undoubtedly, without doubt, it cannot be argued with, at the T-junction at that particular time, she does not like hearing she is not the only powerful woman in this equation. Take a look.
You're not the only powerful woman, even in this community who has had a sitting.
Now in this one, she's asked by the interviewer, you know, what's the best way to communicate? How does somebody like you engage with the public? How do you orate? How do you get your message across? But this is where I want to question her. Now what she's trying to do, she's trying to push and push and push the word authentic or authenticity. We hear that time and time again within this speech. So that's something that her or her PR team has come up with. Like, we want to press that word authenticity. But you'll see where she actually starts to say about authenticity, there's some negative positives going on here. It's not matching up. You'll see that she, what I call purse of the lips, the lip shrug. It's a like that. All right, that doesn't indicate positive, and that's what she's talking about. Like, hey, it's great to be authentic, but then you also see a number of eye blocks kicking in, and then the next thing that very much locks this in, which is why I'm doubting her belief, her narrative, if you will, about how authentic she is, or that's how she wants to be seen, is that she looks down Down is not a good place. Down is a negative. Her truthfulness is coming across here. Down is negative. Down is afraid. Down is fearful.
Yes, I mean, I think it's about being authentic.
And then she brings up her own critique, if you will, where she said that, I've received criticism for being controversial in the past. And what she's trying to get across here is that she's not controversial. She's not controversial at all. So you'll see her look left. So she's recollecting those things that she said. And then she goes on here to talk about what's been controversial, stuff that she said in the media, online, wherever it may be, that's been labelled as controversial. And what she says is, if you look at anything that I've said, so she looks left, so she's recollecting, all right, she's recollected. But then you see a series of eye blocks, and then you get that lip shrug as well. So although she's looking left and she's trying to paint a positive picture, what her body is saying, which is backed up by the next thing that I'll talk about, is actually there is no positive there. There is no joyous 100%. I'm absolutely correct in what I'm doing here. I feel fine in myself for saying what I've said. She looks left, there's a recollection, there's an eye block, there's the lip shrug. She's not happy at all, although she's trying to give that positive image off. Take a look.
And if you look back at anything that I've said.
And the really interesting bit for me is when she says it's not controversial. She has what's called a switch of a head pattern. So when she's saying it's not controversial, if I was talking to you, Bruce, have you done this? No, I haven't. I haven't done this at all. Have you ate my chocolate? No, I haven't. I would be giving you this. I'd be ventral front and I'd be offering myself. I'd be palms up, but I'd be looking and I'd be shaking my head because a shake of the head goes with no. All right. I'm not teaching you to suck eggs here, but that's what it does. But what we see Meghan here is that mid-sentence, she shifts from this to that. Now, if that does not go with a no, just try it. In fact, try it now. Try it at home. Try and say no, but nod your head. Try and say yes, but shake your head. It just naturally doesn't go. So there's no congruence there, all right? There's no congruence. I want to know what is going on in her head specifically at that time.
It's not controversial. It's not controversial.
Now again, I always come to be fair and balanced. I'm aware that there's people who love Meghan and there's people who don't love Meghan. When I do my videos, I always try to be fair and balanced. I think that's why a lot of people come back. I'm not a hater, I'm not a lover, I am factual. Biology does not lie. I'm just giving my interpretation of what Meghan is doing. And again, all of this can be verified because you can watch the same video as me. All I'm doing is raising your awareness to what Meghan is doing. But she is being authentic, if I can use her words, at sometimes through this video. She is just speaking from the cuff. She is sometimes speaking from the heart. Remember, it's all about being fair and balanced. But then she's trying to give a relaxed look, but this is planned. If you look at the setup that she's done, she's selected some very specific books that go behind her. One of them has been The Black Godfather. Well, this is one of the topics that she's talking about. Her sleeves are rolled up, but in that situation, remember, context is king. Her sleeves are rolled up. Her button is very much down. And she's got the arm up on this settee. It's a very, hey, come and talk to me type look. And while acknowledging that there is some authentic stuff, there's also, it must, again, fair and balanced, we must also raise our awareness to the fact there's some inauthentic stuff going on here. And when we talk about that hair flick, when she does that when she's uncomfortable or something else is going on here, what you see is another repetition. So now we can lock that in as one of Meghan's behaviours, again, for future videos, or if you are just watching Meghan and you see her do this, you can understand that she's uncomfortable or she's keeping something back at that particular moment. Because when she talks about the high school graduation video, that's received some widespread criticism, but also widespread support as well, depending what camp you're in, you'll see, boom, that reframing comes in. So when Meghan is uncomfortable or something she's holding back, that's making her potentially lie, we don't know, but in this case it's very much an uncomfortable feeling, woomph, you get the hair reframing. Have a look.
The biggest thing and what I have always stuck to, that high school graduation speech.
And again, this crops up a little further in the video when she's talking about going back to Los Angeles, and she talks about the Rodney King beating specifically. Now again, I am absolutely sure here, because this is the third example of this reframing. that what we can say without a shadow of a doubt is when Meghan Markle is uncomfortable, that hair gets reframed.
Of Los Angeles with the riots after the Rodney King beating. And so for these girls to
She's trying to present herself in a different way, and that's coming from discomfort. That's her little self-soothe, if you will. I'm uncomfortable, I'm just going to reframe. But it's the very end of the video that no one else seems to have picked up on. Now, I'm not saying that I'm brilliant, but I'm brilliant. It's if she's trying to convince herself. So remember, I have agreed, I have acknowledged there's some parts where Meghan is authentic, where she's genuine, where she's telling the truth. She did feel what I've just said about that Rodney King episode. You know, she did get emotional about that. She did feel uncomfortable. But it's at the end where she's trying to talk about being authentic and following the path of truth. That's what she's talking about here. This is where it just doesn't add up for me, and I will explain why. When I'm talking about something, so me, believing Bruce, where I'm here, and I'm talking to you guys and girls, all right? And I'm saying something, and someone says, Bruce, is that true? I'll say, yeah, it absolutely is. And if I'm positive about something, and again, it's that positive connection, I tend to smile. I'll get energized. My eyes will look at you, and I'm aware that I don't blink because I get that told a lot on my channel. But what I'll do is I'll engage with you. I'll be looking. It's positive. If it's negative, I tend to shut my eyes or I'll look away. Now, again, not teaching you to suck eggs, but you'll understand this. What we see here right at the end is so many positive negatives. Like, nobody can leave this video at the very end where I will end it here without thinking, she's not telling the truth. Or at best, she's holding something back. Or worse for Meghan, she's actually being inauthentic. Because when she's talking about the truth here, she says, you know, I've followed a life of truth. Truth's important to me. If you can handle the truth, then everything else falls into place. These are the words that she's using. But what her body is giving off is something totally different. And you'll see when she says the word truth, remember the T-junction, what is she doing at that particular point? When she says the word truth, she actually has an eye block. Not an eyes wide open moment when she's talking about something she believes in. It's a block. So when she's saying something, she's not actually believing that. She's trying to block out that image. And then you'll see a series of eye blocks towards the end. That's so many negative images going on. You'll see that frenetic blinking. And then at the end, she sort of nods. And it's if to trying to tell herself, like, that was all right, you sounded okay. She's convincing herself about the words that she's saying. Now, if she's needed to convince herself, if all those eye blocks are there, then that tells you, and that alone tells you, that she's not being truthful. Or, let's be more specific here to be fair and balanced, she's not actually believing in the words that she is saying. Her narrative is not matching up with her body language. Take a look.
truth and live with authenticity, and that's how I choose to move. That's how I choose to move.
So from there, I think it's fair and balanced to say that at some point she is being authentic, at some point she is telling the truth. We've got to acknowledge that, which should give more credibility to the fact that I'm not in one camp or the other, but we must acknowledge in a fair and balanced way that also she is not being authentic at certain times, that she is not telling us the true story about what's going inside her head, and that she is keeping something back. We know that she feels uncomfortable because she's not the only powerful woman. She does know what she said in the past is controversial, although she's trying to spin a different energy to it. And although she wants us to believe in her authenticity, there is enough there for me, as I've just explained in this video, to doubt a lot of what Meghan's saying, or at least how she's trying to portray herself. So remember to subscribe if you've enjoyed this channel, if you enjoy body language and you want more of it, anything to do with the head and heart. I'm also going to start doing new videos moving into the future, where I'll be interviewing guests in the Volkswagen camper van, around the campfire it's going to be called, to share their stories, tools and learnings to help you improve the way you look at yourself and how you think, feel and act. So remember to subscribe, give us a like below if you want to, if you think I've added value, that would be brilliant. Comment below as well. And every day I put short stories up on my Instagram about how you can become the best version of yourself by being more in control of your thoughts and feelings. So if that is of interest to you, please join me at Instagram, BelieveInBruce360. But put all that together, more important than any of this, believe in Bruce. Remember to be kind to yourselves and each other.